Wylab is a place where to share, innovate and shape your projects, exchange experiences, ideas and professionalism in a young, dynamic and modern environment. We are the first incubator in Italy for startups developing innovation in sports. We select and support the best Italian and international talents with tutorship and funding. Sharing the work environment means creating new job opportunities, new contacts, and being in the front row of sports tech innovation. We organise courses, workshops and conferences, providing knowledge, stimulating curiosity, promoting real and specific skills to innovate technology and business.
Eccoci, ciao a tutti, benvenuti alla 38esima puntata dei Wylab Innovation Talks. Io sono Federico Smanio, l'amministratore delegato di Wylab. Ho il piacere di accompagnarvi in questo viaggio che è cominciato più o meno un anno fa, nel pieno della prima ondata di pandemia, quando è cominciato questo format di interviste a esperti dell'ambito dello sport e dell'innovazione. È un grande periodo di un momento in cui si riflette sul cambiamento, perché lo sport è stato colpito da questa grande crisi e non può esserci cambiamento senza innovazione. Quindi è fondamentale capire come avviene questa innovazione, quindi noi stiamo cercando di dialogare con i maggiori esperti in ambito di sport e innovazione. E le interviste durano 30 minuti, come chi ci segue sa. C'è la possibilità tra l'altro di fare anche dei commenti, di fare delle domande sulla nostra pagina Facebook, sul nostro canale YouTube, e io sono molto felice di riproporle al nostro ospite che oggi non è italiano, è tedesco, quindi parleremo in inglese. Sarà una puntata all'insegna dell'internazionalità. È una persona importante, è un fondatore di una società che si chiama Sports Tech X, per dirla all'inglese. È una società di consulenza di intelligence che pubblica dati e insight su tutto il mondo dell'innovazione, delle start-up applicate allo sport. Hanno costruito anche un grande database sulle start-up, il database che è possibile ovviamente consultare per fare gli investimenti, per capire chi sono le start-up nel mondo sport tech. Quindi con lui cercheremo di capire com'è composto, com'è fatto tutto questo grande mondo in cui operiamo anche noi. È un consulente, quindi ha avuto una carriera importante in altre realtà per grandi aziende. È un esperto di strategia, ma da qualche anno a questa parte si sta occupando di startup e quindi ha fondato questa società. I'm more than happy to have Benjamin Penkert on board. Hello, Benjamin.
Ciao a tutti, and grazie mille for having me.
Apologies for my introduction in Italian, but this is an Italian show, but of course you are the guest, so we need to switch it to English. Unfortunately, until you learn Italian.
It's beautiful to listen for me, and same goes for your introduction video that looks so professional. I'm amazed. I could just sit here and listen and watch.
Okay, we try to be as professional as we can. In any case, Ben, I'm very happy to have you here. You've been our guest to the Wylab Investor Day, and it was a success because you explained to us how the sports tech ecosystem works. So can you please tell us a little bit about yourself? Why are you so involved in the sports tech scene? Why do you like startups? Why did you start Sports Tech X?
You're starting with 5 questions at once. Perfect. I'll just give you the quick run through. I always say I had a first career, which was in the corporate world. I was dealing with human resources topics in the telecommunications industry. And at some point, I've realized that this is not what I want to continue to do. So I was searching for something else that I would find interesting and meaningful. And the first decision that I made was that I wanted to go into an industry that promised dynamic, interesting topics, interesting people. So I decided to go into the mighty world of startups, innovation and entrepreneurship. Then the question came up, okay, which tech area or startup area specifically? And I was playing with the thought of exploring travel tech, or then later I thought about sports tech. So basically 2 areas that I would be able to talk about all day, as I like to put it. So I asked myself, what can I talk about all day without getting bored? And traveling and sports were the main ones. And then I did some research, and I've realized that there was back in 2017. I've realized there are interesting initiatives in travel tech already, but I could not find information on sports tech. And first I was a bit disappointed, and then I realized, hey, that could actually be an interesting opportunity. And then I decided to build a resource, a platform where people could inform themselves about things that are going on in the world of sports and technology. And this is when Sports Tech X was born. Luckily, after a short amount of time, I met my co-founder, Ron. And ever since, we are producing lots of content and trying to provide context around the things that are happening in the world of sports tech.
And I have to admit that you are a great couple. You provide, you do this.
Husband.
Yeah. I mean, it's really good to listen to and watch your videos. Then we will talk about it later. But in any case, so there's a great passion for sports, not just for startups, I guess. And this is the thing, the common trait for anyone working in sports. I believe there has to be a big passion, a great passion for the things that we do. Otherwise, it doesn't work, isn't it? So, but yeah.
I always say that on this planet, I would guess that probably 90% of the people either like to do sport or watch sport. So that's a good industry to be in.
That's true. So what does sports tech do and offer to the market? Can you please explain to us in more detail what you do and your services that you provide?
Yeah, as I think you already said in your introduction, we see ourselves as a market intelligence company. So we screen what's happening on the market and we try to make sense out of this. This means that we're producing a lot of content, and you would mainly know us from our reports that we produce. The reports that I think we're known for are the European Sports Tech Report, the North American one, the Asia Pacific one, but also a bit more topical, the Global Sports Tech Venture Capital Report, the Football Tech Report, the Fitness Tech Report. So lots of insights, also coming, by the way, as articles, as a podcast, as a newsletter. We have a LinkedIn group, so tons of points where you can inform yourself and discuss sports tech topics, all for free, by the way. And all of that is based on our sports tech database, which is right now, I think, over 5,000 startups strong, where we have stored tons of information about these startups. For example, where they're located, how much investment did they get, what do they actually do, which sports are they focusing on, which tech they're using, and so on and so on and so on. So all of that contributes to the fact that I think we have positioned ourselves well as someone who knows what's happening in that space. And then, of course, we also have to earn some money. We cannot only shoot out content for free. And this happens in 3 areas, the main one being consulting research work. So people see our work, they realize that we know something about the market, and they typically reach out to us. The second area would be that we promote initiatives and startups through our content. So that would be paid features. And the third one is the database that I just mentioned, because we also offer that database online on sportstechdb.com. There you can have a subscription and benefit from the data that we're anyways capturing.
Yeah, that's great. And I think the thing that is really important, and is the first thing that I understood when I got to know you, is that I needed that information, because we didn't know anything about what was going on in the world of sports tech. So I think you had a great idea to start this business. And I don't know if you have competitors, but I think you're the point of reference for anything around sports tech in the world. So in terms of knowledge of the ecosystem, as we usually say, and so that was a great idea in the beginning. But so we said you're famous for your reports. I've read almost all of your reports, not every single detail is on every single pages, but I missed the fitness tech, but I've read the football tech, North American, the Asian, the European, and the venture capital one. I'm curious to know, how do you structure the research? So how does it work? I think it's not easy at all to map the system to gather all the information around startups and investors and all that. How do you structure? How many people are you working on this? And how much time does it take to create an output and publish the report?
Yeah, super relevant question, obviously. And yeah, I mean, we do have competitors. You just said we almost have, maybe we don't have any, but I think we're probably the best when it comes to startup data, I would say. And there really is no magic sauce. And I often get asked if we automate this, if we have some bot scrolling the net or something. But that's actually not possible, because a bot would typically not understand our framework, would not necessarily understand who the target group of a startup is, if a startup is still active, how to assign a startup to the framework that we have developed. So unfortunately, it's a lot of manual work, and luckily we have a very good team in Bangalore, India, benefiting from the fact that Drone, my co-founder, is from India. So we have built an intelligence research team in India that has the main purpose of finding interesting startups. If we have found startups, then to assign them, research things, and this is basically it. There is no magic behind it. So the guys in Bangalore, they are very active in finding startups, but on the other hand, it's us who we are, I would say, well connected in the industry, following lots of people on Twitter, on Instagram, and especially LinkedIn, where we also get approached by many startups. So it's a combination of the research team in India, we getting approached online on our social channels, plus us stumbling upon interesting solutions. Also because we get invited to interesting events and then seeing startups. And all of that together then contributes to the fact that we have a very good database that has been built over the years. So it's really hard to imitate that database, I think. And yeah, that is all about our magic database.
Well, that's great. I think it's a massive, it's massive work, and it's honestly very interesting. So I think you are the best person that can tell us what's the state of health of sports tech at the moment. Number of startups, how many are the active startups that are out there, the amount of investments that have been done in sports tech so far. I would say the main sports tech hubs, the cities where sports tech is more important in terms of number of investments and number of startups, and differences in geographic area. We have 2 minutes, but try to be as good as you can.
Yeah, okay, I'll do my best. Just one thing up front, also connected to data. Number of active startups obviously always changes. This is another pain in the behind when you do startup research. It changes so often. You have to do that research again and again and again. So if I would send you all of our data today, half a year from now, it would already be outdated in many cases. Yeah, where shall I start? I mean, globally, at the moment, we have over 5,000 startups in sports tech that are active. Interestingly, we have been at 1,000. We've been at 1,000 more last year. So we believe that change is also due to the pandemic. That many of the startups actually did not make it through the pandemic. So less active startups than last year. And when it comes to investing, I have some up-to-date numbers, especially for North America and for Europe. So what you can roughly say is North America is the clear leader worldwide. Over the last 5 years, they were close to $9 billion in investing. Europe is actually at rank number 3 with almost 1.8 billion euro. So first number was in US dollar because we always check the region where we're looking at. So roughly 5 times as much investment in North America compared to the investment in Europe. And somewhere in between you have Asia with actually a lot of investment. So if the US has around 9 billion over the last 5 years, I would say Asia and there, especially China and India, they would have around 6 billion. So the gap between Europe and the 2 leaders, North America and Asia, is quite big. What else is there to say? In 2020, which was a very special year, the numbers in Europe were going down. So we ended up at around 350 million euro last year, which was down from 400, 450 over the last years each. In North America, however, the numbers in 2019 were kind of low. And on the other hand, the investment in 2020 was super high and will probably reach the record high amount. You never know exactly because there's a reporting lag, so it always takes a bit until you get the actual numbers. So not only is the total amount higher in North America than in Europe, but the behavior is also completely different, especially in times of a crisis. While investment went down in Europe last year during the pandemic, in North America, they really took off. And there are a couple of reasons for this. I mean, the betting industry thriving, the search for at-home connected fitness solutions are just two of them. And in each country or in each region, we also have different hubs who actually contribute to those numbers in a different way. And by the way, as we speak, our team is assembling or researching the data for Asia, and we're going to publish the Asian report last week. So I don't have the most accurate numbers on Asia. Otherwise, it could be more specific.
Well, that's interesting, and it's it's interesting. I think it's we are always trying to make comparisons between just Italy, because we are in Italy, and the rest of the world, and Europe, and we are lagging behind. We know that. Comparing the sports power of this country in terms of the quality and the tradition that we have, sports tech is not following close, and we left behind the main hubs even in Europe. So even this program that is starting with We Sport Up, and it's going to be funded by the government, and the Startup Bootcamp will be working on this, and so we hope that this can really boost the development of new startups and the investments in sports startups, and reduce this gap between Italy and the rest of the world. In any case, I would like to go a bit deeper on the framework that you designed. So let me share the screen. This is something that I don't usually do, so I hope I won't do anything strange, but hopefully it works. It should work.
Wonderful.
Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes.
So this is a framework. I don't want to be too technical, and I want you to be too technical, but I think it's useful for anyone listening to us to explain how your framework works. And so I leave it to you, and to understand, why did you make it, and the logic behind it, and why it's so useful and easy to understand.
Well, I like that you think that it is, to start with that. As also seen, you can see here in the text, when we started SportsIX in 2017, and both Ron and I coming from a consulting background. So the first thing that you do is you zoom out, and you want to make sure that you understand everything from that perspective. And pretty soon it was clear that we needed a common understanding, common wording of the market to be able to discuss and compare things and put some labels on it. And what you see here is the development over the last couple of years, and right now we are in a framework where we're kind of happy with the current status. To walk you through it, as you can see, there are three colors, which obviously represent three different areas. And we have structured it according to the purpose of the solutions within each of those three sectors. So whenever you see a startup out there, ideally you can immediately put it somewhere into that framework. In some cases, it's not so clear, and you could actually put it into two different areas. But that aside, let me quickly walk through it. On the left side, you see in purple the area for athletes, and always important, everybody who has a body is an athlete. That's what Bill Bowerman, the Nike founder, said. So it's not just for the pro athletes, it's also for recreational athletes, the everyday average person like myself. So whoever is doing sport will find solutions for him or herself in that box on the left side. It might be either for the activity or before or after the activity, and it can either be a hardware solution or a software solution. That is block number one. The second block in blue is for the consumer of sports, so typically for the fan or the enthusiast. And there you would typically find solutions like your content streaming platforms, but also, for example, if you wanna purchase something from the team or the player that you like, if you wanna get a ticket, if you wanna participate in some polls or get involved with your team, that you would find there, as well as fantasy sports and betting. So everybody who is a fan. And lastly, on the right side in green are solutions for executives. So people who typically manage a club, a team, a stadium, or for example, a gym. So these are typically more the B2B solutions. And that also includes, for example, external parties like media production or sponsors. This is the framework in a nutshell. On the first level, as you can see, we have more level underneath. But we think this is a really good starting point. And whenever we see a startup, first question we ask ourselves is, okay, where in those three categories does it go? And then we always go a bit deeper.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's useful. I think it's well done. And it's not a compliment to you, but honestly, I have never found something better than this. And we are conforming as well at Wylab with our startups. We try to, figure out where the startups are, in which kind of block they can be comprised. And of course, as you said, not necessarily one startup goes in just one piece of the framework, but it can be more a solution that can, cater to the professional athletes, but also to the team. So it can be in more than one category. Let's switch to another thing that you do that I think is very interesting. It's called Hello Sports Tech. And it's a format. It's a video format, right? It's something that you. It's a video format in which you test and try the different solutions, the startups that are out there. You try physically, and then I would like you to explain this. But I would like to use this question for you to answer to another question, which is, where are the investments going? Is that more B2B, B2C solution? Are the investment following the main trends in sports industry or in the sports tech world, or is it disconnected? Can you explain to us where are the money going, basically, and of course, explain the reason behind Hello Sports Tech?
Yeah, the reason is pretty simple. Over the years, we came across so many interesting startups in sports tech, and so far we didn't take the time to actually test what we came across. And at some point last year, we said, hey, it's summer. Why don't we approach some of the startups and ask if we can test their solutions? And obviously that turned out to be a lot of fun. We started filming it and then we put it on YouTube. So this is becoming a channel for everyone who likes to do sport or watch sport and to inform him or herself on the latest, coolest tech in sports tech. That is the story behind. But it actually also fits well connected to what you just asked, because obviously we also compare numbers of how much investment goes into the B2B space versus the B2C space. And the outcome is super clear. B2C accounts for about 80% of the investment, so the vast majority, and B2B solutions are the absolute minority. This is very interesting when we saw that for the first time. And also when you look at the unicorns in sports tech, in our last year's VC report, we identified 19, and 17 out of those 19 unicorns are B2C solutions. And the other two, interestingly, they are B2B2C. So there always seems to be a consumer angle built in somewhere. And also when you look at not only at investment, but also the startups in which areas they go, you can say they're clever, they're following the money. So the vast majority of startups are also in the B2C space.
Okay, that's interesting. What's the difference between Europe and the rest of the world in terms of are there differences, first of all, between Europe and the rest of the world? And what do you think we can do as Europeans to become second, maybe, or get closer to the leaders in the space, especially the North American countries and the Asian countries? What do you think? Why the sports tech scene is America-centric?
It's a very relevant question, but also a very tricky one to answer, obviously. I would almost like to ask back or mention one point, because we look at sports tech so much from an investment perspective, but we're also aware of the fact that this is not the only criteria to measure success or not being so successful. And also in Europe, we have many interesting companies like Sportradar or OneFootball. They are typically not so high in the investment rankings for two reasons. A lot of their funding rounds have been undisclosed, so we don't know the amounts. We cannot put any fantasy figure in there. So I think Sportradar is listed with, I think, 80 million of investment. They have for sure secured hundreds of millions more, but we just don't know the numbers. And also, their positioning on the market is incredibly well. So investment is not the only criteria. That's one thing to mention up front. And then you ask about what is special on the European ecosystem. I would say two things that we're witnessing. One is coming back to the investment. We see a lot of deals actually happening in European sports tech, more than in Asia, because in Asia we have not so many deals, but big deals. In Europe, we have a lot of deals, but the average ticket size and also the median ticket size is not so high. So it seems like one thing that is very special for Europe is the availability of capital in early stage, but then somehow the development to later stages that don't really happen. You might say that this is a good starting point for the next couple of years. We will see. And the other thing about Europe is the ecosystem is actually interesting when you look at the cut of the ecosystem. In North America, you have so many investors that are focused on sports. I think in our latest report, we had 25 or so. And in Europe, we have 8 identified in that area. But on the other hand, in Europe, we have a lot of accelerators in sports, I think around 12, and a lot of innovation activities or initiatives that deal with sports and tech and innovation. So we have lots of deals and a broad ecosystem where maybe some more better equipped investors are missing. That is something very typical for Europe. And I think this is a really good starting point, a really good basis. So the question for me is, how can we make the next step and get those good companies that we have here to higher funding rounds? That's probably the most urgent question.
We need the money. That's a problem. We always say that. And the thing is, let's take Italy as an example. We have champions in sports tech. We have Y-Scouts. We've given birth to Y-Scout. We have Delta 3, which is a big company. It's valued 1 billion. We have Technogym. So we have champions. Italian people are creative. We don't miss that. But then our startups and the experience that we have is that if we compare our startups to some other startups and their competitors, international competitors, there's not a big difference in terms of initial metrics, but the difference is that they got the money, they got the investment, they've been able to attract money. This is not to justify really the fact that we are. Yeah, I think so, definitely. Money is definitely important. If we need to make investments. You need to invest, especially if it's a technology. So if you're not able to attract investments for many different reasons, and you mentioned some of these, you can't keep up with the competitions. So that's I believe that. But in any case, I meant to make it to ask you a question, not just to comment on this. But so did you want to say something about this? You're not going to.
It's fine. I always like to think, is there something else besides money? There must be other factors as well.
Yeah.
Money helps, obviously. With money, many things are easier, but I'm sure there are more factors contributing to that. But
no.
solution.
We are aligned. I'm not saying that there's just money, but we need to have more money if we want to compete and to thrive as a system. But in any case, let's talk about Italy. I mentioned We Sport Up. This is a great initiative, and it's like a new company. It's like a new acceleration program in the sports and wellness tech. Wylab will be involved. Nothing official for now, but we're going to be involved in this. And of course, we're happy because we are a point of reference. We've been doing this for 5 years, great experience on sports tech, and we are very happy to do this. Do you think this initiative can be a game changer for Italy and our system for the years to come?
I hope so. I mean, let's say there's room for improvement, not meaning it in the bad way in any sense. But if you look at the top lists in Europe, it's always UK, France, Germany, the Nordic countries on top of the list, and you don't find Italy in any top 10 list, at least not in this year's report. Even though, same for, by the way, Spain, there are more than enough, or there's a good amount of startups, also good startups. You mentioned a few really good companies, but somehow there's something missing, and yeah, money is one thing, attention might be the other. And if an initiative like I just mentioned comes up, and especially with involvement of a big brand like Startup Bootcamp, to me that sounds promising. And then it's all about the execution. But one important factor is, I think, the involvement of Startup Bootcamp, because that automatically brings media attention. People will look at Italy. Startups, very importantly, will look at Italy. And sometimes it's as simple as that. You just need a big brand, a shiny brand, and you can take things from there. So yeah, everything else is just guessing, but I think it's a really good start.
Okay, we hope we can do something really important with We Sport Up. Finally, last question, Benjamin. We've reached the final part of the interview, and I always close with your personal advice to startups. I think it's going to be very relevant, and this is going to be the last question around the advice for startups for this phase, because we're going to take a break with the Wylab Innovation Talks. It's been 1 year. It's been almost 40 episodes, and it's now time for us to make stock of what happened and of the people that we met, and so you have the honor and the responsibility of asking telling us last advice for the startups.
Well, big honor. Yeah, I shouldn't mess this one up. First of all, I really like the format. It's easygoing. It's fun. It feels good. So I hope you will keep it up after that break. Yeah, I mean, when being asked for advice, I always ask myself, who am I to say? So I'm just sharing what is important for me, and maybe it is also relevant for others. It's actually two things. I hope I'm not cheating here. With the one being super important, and it's nothing crazy. So for me, the most important thing is that you should have a lot of fun. It is super obvious, it's super common, but it's for me, that's one of the most important things in life, and also therefore with work. So make sure that you are working on something that brings you joy, and not just to make money, or you identified a market opportunity or whatever. You should generally enjoy dealing with that topic and that theme. That is important for me. I think you don't have to burn for something. You always hear it as an advice. I think that is almost too much, and burning also has a bad side, I think. So you should just enjoy what you do. That's the one thing. And the other thing that's coming from me, working in the market intelligence company and being a consultant and being German, you should also do your research. That is also super important, because and often enough I see cases from like, okay, this cannot work at all because there are so many competitors. The facts are speaking against you. So I would encourage you to do that as well. Obviously, we are one of the resources you should come across then, but make sure that you know what you're doing and that you're enjoying it. These are my 2 cents and 2 advices on it.
Great advice. It's an exception. I've let you down, given 2 advice and at the price of 1, but this is the last episode for this, at least for this part, for this 2021. So thank you very much, Benjamin, for being with us today. It's been great, and good luck for your sports like X initiatives, but I will touch base soon with you in any case. Grazie a tutti, è stato un piacere. Noi, come dicevo, ci prendiamo una pausa di riflessione sui talks. Siamo molto contenti di questo percorso, perché è stato molto bello personalmente e come Wylab avere l'onore e la possibilità di parlare con tanti professionisti del settore. Ora faremo un po' il punto della situazione e poi vediamo cosa saremo in grado di fare nei prossimi mesi. Un grazie a tutti, ci sentiamo presto, ci vediamo presto, forza, avanti tutta. Thank you very much, Benjamin, and let's stay in touch.
Take care.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao a tutti.